So hi everyone, this is Joy, your instructor for microprocessor and interfacing. Today we are going to see the architecture of the microprocessor 8085. You can also say block diagram of 8085. So let's see. The chip that you are seeing on the screen is actually a microprocessor. Now if you see inside that chip, you will see there are billions of transistors which are connected to each other, and there are different blocks which are present in the microprocessor. Some portion is the arithmetic and logical unit, some portion is the register, and much more. But by seeing this picture, you are not going to get that which portion is which. So that is why when you purchase any microprocessor, you will get a reference manual. In that reference manual, you will find that how many blocks are there in the microprocessor, and you are also going to see a proper block diagram of the microprocessor. And let's see how the block diagram of the microprocessor 8085 looks like. So this is the block diagram of the microprocessor 8085. Now it seems very big and difficult, but trust me, it isn't that much. Let's divide this block diagram of the microprocessor into the different sections so that we can understand it clearly. The first section of the microprocessor 8085 is the register section. There are different registers present in the microprocessor 8085. You can see that the registers named W, Z, B, C, D, E, H, L are present. Now each register is having size of 8-bit. So if you want to store 8-bit of data, you can use the register B, C, D, E, and H, L. You cannot use the register W and Z because those are temporary registers, and those registers can be only used by microprocessor itself. So user cannot access those registers. Now what if you want to store 16-bit of data? You can also store 16-bit of data, and to store 16-bit of data, you can make register pair. So how to make register pair? You can make pair of register B and C. You can make pair of D and E and H and L. You cannot make register pair randomly. You can only make these fixed pairs which are provided in the reference manual. You can see below this register there is a stack pointer and the program counter. Now to understand the working of the stack pointer and the program counter, let's see one example. Now you can see the memory of the microprocessor. Now when you program the microprocessor, all the instructions will be stored from the starting location. So you can see that from the location 0, all the instructions are stored. Right now the program that we have created is of 6 instructions. So these all instructions are stored in the memory. After the instructions are stored in the memory, the processor will start doing its task. Now what is the task of the processor? The processor will fetch the instruction from the memory, it will decode the instruction, and it will execute the instruction. So to fetch the instruction from the memory, the processor should know that from which location it has to start the process of fetch, decode, and execute. And to find the location, the processor gets help from the program counter. So you can see initially when you start the microprocessor, the value of the program counter will be 0. Now whenever processor wants to fetch any instruction, it will see the value in the program counter. So right now the value in the program counter is 0, so processor will fetch the instruction from the memory location 0. So processor will fetch that instruction, it will decode that instruction and execute that instruction. After the fetch process of the instruction 0 is done, the value of the program counter will be incremented. So you can see the value of the program counter is now 1. So when processor wants to read any instruction, it will see the value of the program counter. Right now the value of the program counter is 1. So processor will fetch the instruction from the memory location 1. After fetching the instruction, the value of the program counter will be incremented. The processor will decode the instruction 1 and it will execute, and next time it will fetch the instruction from which location? The memory location 3. Okay, so every time after fetching the instruction, the value of the program counter will be incremented, so that the next time, for the next time, processor can know that from which location it has to read the instruction. Now you can see that there is a stack pointer. You can see the value in the stack pointer is the 1 2 3 4. Now from the value of the stack pointer, you can know that at which location stack pointer is pointing, and that location, it is a top of the stack. So what is the top of the stack right now? It is a 1 2 3 4. This is it for the register section. Now we are going to see the next section, that is ALU and the flag section. You can see that there is a ALU. Now what is the function of ALU? ALU means the arithmetic and logical unit. You all know that using the ALU, processor can perform arithmetic operations such as addition, subtraction, multiplication, division. Using the same ALU, it can perform some logical operations too, such as AND, OR, XOR, etc. Right. Then after, the next block is the accumulator. Now the accumulator, it is a special purpose register. Whenever microprocessor performs any calculation, any arithmetic and logical operation, the answer will be stored in that accumulator. You can see that the accumulator is connected to the ALU. That is a one function of the accumulator. Accumulator can be also used to send and receive data outside of the microprocessor. So if you want to send any data outside of microprocessor, or if you want to receive any data from the outside of the microprocessor, accumulator can be used. The next register is the temporary register. Again, this register cannot be used by programmer, and temporary register, it is used by microprocessor to store any temporary data between any arithmetic or logical operation. After that, you can see there is a flag register. So as you can see that this is the pattern of the flag register. The size of the flag register is 8-bit, but total 8 flags are not present, only 5 flags are present. Which are these flags? There is a sign flag, then there is a 0 flag, auxiliary carry flag, parity flag, and the carry flag. Now let's see when this flag will be affected. So this is the example. We are performing the addition of these two 8-bit numbers. When you perform any arithmetic and logical operation, the value of the flag will be affected. So all flag will be affected when you perform any arithmetic and logical operation. Now let's add this number and you will get the answer. So let's name these bits from D0 to D7. Now for the sign flag, when after performing any arithmetic and logical operation, if the value of the D7 bit is 1, in that case the sign flag will be set. So you can see that the value of the sign flag is changed to 1. After performing any arithmetic and logical operation, if the value of the D7, or we can also say that the value of the MSB is 0, in that case the sign flag will be reset, means the value of the sign flag will be 0. After that, let's see when the 0 flag will be affected. So after performing any arithmetic and logical operation, if all the bits from the D0 to D7 is 0, in that case the 0 flag will be set, means the value of the 0 flag will be 1. Right now you can see that in the answer all the bits are not 0, so value of the 0 flag will be 0. That is, we can say reset. The next flag is the auxiliary flag. The function of the auxiliary flag that we are going to see by a different example. Let's first see how the parity flag is changed. So right now except that the value of the auxiliary flag is 0. After that, the next flag is the parity flag. Now when the parity flag will be set? After performing any arithmetic and logical operation, if in the answer total number of ones are even, in that case the parity flag will be set. So what if total number of ones are odd? In that case the parity flag will be reset. So you can see that the total number of ones are odd, so the parity flag will be 0. The last flag is the carry flag, and when the carry flag will be set? So when you are performing addition of, let's say, 8 bits and you are getting 9 bit in the answer. So we are getting 8 bit answer and the 9th bit is carry. So when the carry is generated in the D7 bit, in that case only the carry flag will be set. If we are getting carry apart from the D7 bit, in that case carry will not be set. So right now the carry flag will be reset because carry is not generated at D7 bit. Now let's see how the auxiliary carry is generated. Again, let's see the example of addition of this two 8 bits number, and after adding this number you will get this answer. Let's name these bits from D0 to D7. Now when this auxiliary carry will be set? So when you perform any arithmetic and logical operation, when the carry is transferred from D3 to D4, in that case the auxiliary carry will be set. We can also say that the carry is transferred from the lower nibble to higher nibble. What is the meaning of nibble? Group of 4 bits. So when you perform any arithmetic operation and the carry is transferred from lower nibble to higher nibble, in that case the auxiliary carry will be set. So you can see that the value of the auxiliary carry is 1. What is the value of the sign? What is the value of the sign flag? It will be 1 because the D7 bit is 1. What is the value of the 0 flag? It will be 0. Why? Because all the bits from D0 to D7 are not 0. What is the value of parity bit? So total number of ones are even, so parity flag will be set. And carry is not generated in the D7 bit, so value of the carry flag will be 0. Now let's see one more example, and for this example you have to find and you have to tell me that which flags will be affected when we perform this operation.